About 100 years ago, people taught a lot about types and shadows, but you just don't hear that much anymore. As a matter of fact, there's books on biblical typology and types and anti-types. Now, the difference in that is a type is a picture or a portrait or something pointing the way to the future. The antitype is the fulfillment of that. So if you hear anyone use that term anti-type, it just means this is the actual fulfillment of that type. So I want to give you one of the types and shadows in the Bible that is one of my favorite ones to talk about, which is Noah's Ark. So the Noah's Ark story is bigger than just, a flood and animals going in and God saving the earth. It actually is telling the story about things in the future. So it's a type and shadow of salvation. It's a type and shadow of the rapture. It's a type and shadow of the Holy Spirit coming to the earth. So there's a lot of things in this story. So let's just kind of walk through a few details. So first of all, you have Noah building the ark, and he had to build it a very specific way. The first thing he was told by the Lord to do is build it in 3 levels. So there's only 3 decks: the lower deck, the middle deck, and the upper deck. Now this is symbolic of the Trinity, the Father being the foundation, the Son being the middle compartment, the Holy Spirit being the one on top. So when you see this, you see that it's the Father, or the lower level, that actually protects the people from the rains, the judgment on the earth. So you also see a type and shadow of salvation here, because you see a door opening, and the only way to go into the ark of safety is through the door. Well, later on, Jesus tells us, I am the door. It was the only way in and out of the ark. Only one door on the second compartment, and that was the Jesus compartment. Then you see the doves flying 3 times, the 3 flights of the doves coming out of the upper window in the upper compartment. And it was also the upper room where the Holy Spirit came on the day of Pentecost. So you see the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit there. Here's another great symbolism of the Noah's Ark story, and that's how the animals came in. So if you ask most people, how do the animals come into the ark? They're going to tell you 2 by 2, but that would not be the right answer. So the unclean animals came in 2 by 2, but the clean animals came in 7 by 7. Now, why did they come in 7 by 7? And why 7? Well, first of all, 7 is God's number of completion. So when 7 clean animals came in, first of all, they could be eaten. So that's why they had more of those. You cannot eat the unclean animals, but you can eat the clean animals. And secondly, they could be sacrificed, because you could not sacrifice to the Lord the unclean animals, only the clean animals. So if you take one animal for sacrifice, that leaves you with 3 pairs, or 3 male and female pairs, to repopulate the earth, and plus the animals that were eaten on the ark as well during the time of the rain. Now you also see you see salvation playing out here. The animals coming in 2 by 2 means the only way unclean can become saved is to go through Jesus. They had to go through the door. The 7 was completion. This was God's final work through Christ on the earth. So that's why 7 came in. But here's the other huge type and shadow that you see, and that's a type and shadow of the rapture. You have the storm coming, which is the judgment of the earth, and you have the ark raising them up. Just like God will rapture the church from the earth before the tribulation period, you also see, as this tribulation or this wrath of God comes upon the earth to judge it, you see God taking 8 people. 8 is the number of new beginnings. So God takes 8 people and lifts them above the judgment in an ark of safety, which is a type and shadow of the rapture. Now, I could go on and on. We could talk about the type of wood. We could talk about the pitch within and without. All of that is symbolic, and all of that is telling the same story. Jesus is the way of salvation. That is the final story that has to be told. Jesus is the only way to be saved. So I hope this has been fun and inspiring for you today as we reminisced an old childhood story from our kindergarten days of Noah and the ark.